We're joined by director, producer, and Tony-nominated filmmaker Ben DeJesus, who's built a reputable career working on television projects, documentaries, branded, and digital content. His most recent project, Raul Juliá, The World's a Stage, received an Emmy nomination as part of PBS's American Masters. Ben, lovely to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. Thank you for having me, Mabel.
Meet you, but I actually had the pleasure of interacting with you in a more casual manner a number of years ago, but formally meeting you today, and it's just a pleasure. Congratulations on the Emmy nomination.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
What were your thoughts when you heard that the documentary had been selected?
I was like stunned, to be honest. It took a little while for it to sink in because when we were making the film, you're not thinking about any of those things. You're just thinking about making the best film and telling the best story possible. So it was just a nice, pleasant surprise, kind of a little out of the blue, but I'm grateful.
There are certain projects that I know that we work on that we say, you know what, that was good. And then there's some that we're not quite sure about. With this particular one, did you have that feeling like from the very beginning, and what motivated you, inspired you to want to tell Raul Juliá's story, and why him in particular?
Well, when I was younger, I was a theater actor. I worked in the musical theater for several years, and I studied theater at Rutgers University. So I was always aware of Raul Julia and the amazing career he had as a Puerto Rican on Broadway. And as somebody who was aspiring to something similar, there was him and there was John Leguizamo that I really looked up to and idolized. And I just felt like one day it would be amazing to tell his story. So fast forward, and here we are. So I've been really grateful and fortunate to be able to be trusted by the family and everybody who knew him to really honor his legacy.
Were there things about Raul Juliá that completely surprised you when you were working on this project?
Yeah, I think the fact that he was so passionate about Shakespeare and about the classics in a way that even I wasn't aware of really surprised me, and it just kind of took me aback because as somebody whose Spanish was his first language, the fact that he gravitated to Shakespeare and wanted to make kind of the poetry sing, but in his accent, was something that definitely resonated with me. So I was a little surprised by how incredible he was. Seeing like the old footage and his performances was just mind blowing.
You mentioned collaborating with the family. What type of feedback did they give you? Did they share anecdotes with you? Were there things that they wanted to make sure that were instilled in the documentary?
Well, above all else, the family was just wanted to show his human side. Obviously, his body of work is incredible and is going to stand the test of time. But they wanted people to also know about his humanitarian work, which he was one of the most passionate people with respect to a project called Project End Hunger. And, that was like part of his life's work. It wasn't just theater and Hollywood and that kind of life. He wanted to really make an impact on the world. So the family was really grateful that we highlighted and showcased that. And, I remember the first screening we had with his wife, how nervous everybody was, the whole team, just to kind of share it after so many years for them to see what we came up with. That was a day I'll never remember. But so far, they've been really happy.
You mentioned John Leguizamo, and in 2019, you were nominated for a Tony Award for Best Play for John Leguizamo's Latin History for Morons, another collaboration with a notable Latino. What are your most memorable moments from working on that project?
Well, the Broadway show Latin History for Morons, when he first started writing that, it was just him in his basement, kind of banging it out on a keyboard. And the way John's process works is that he'll take it from there to like comedy clubs. So being with John on the road, just him and I on a little comedy club tour was something that I'll never forget. And it was great. Like I'm shooting the camera with one hand and helping him sell merch with the other. It was fun. And then as it kept snowballing, we kept showcasing and like kind of capturing that behind the scenes process. And on a parallel path, as we made our way to taking the show to Broadway, we were able to turn the making of into a documentary film for PBS as well. So, and also just getting nominated for a Tony, like for me as somebody who grew up loving theater and wanting to be on Broadway and be affiliated and to be, part of that process and to get recognized, it's been incredible. That's something that I'm so happy about.
two notable Latinos. Has that been intentional?
You know, I would say a little bit, yes. I mean, you want to work with people you admire, and my heroes growing up, being able to collaborate on a bunch of projects with him has been incredible, and that's been growing really well so far.
You get together, and now you be this powerhouse to just share more stories. Is the focus going to be Latinos? And as you look to the future, are there specific projects that you have in mind? Feel free to share an exclusive if you'd like.
Yeah, sure. Well, yes. I mean, I just feel like our stories haven't been told to the level they deserve. So instead of like complaining about it and just looking at the statistics, I'd rather be part of the solution. So the projects that we're focusing on at this time are documentary. We want to do scripted. We want to do feature films, and we have some exciting things already in the pipeline. That one of the shows that I could share with you that we're working on right now, which is John basically traveling the world and discovering Latin history in the places where it occurred. That's something that we're close to the finish line with PBS and getting that off the ground. So that's going to be one of the stories that we want to tell. And it's not that we only want to work exclusively on Latin projects. It's just that is who we are, and that's what we know. And there's a need and a void, and we want to help fill it.
And you have been filling it also with music videos. So what I loved as I was learning more about about your body of work is that you're so diverse. So you have filmmaker, you have director, producer, Broadway, you were an actor, and you also have delved into music videos. How have those projects been different than, let's say, working with John or working on a documentary?
Well, they're faster for sure. Like when you get a music video, you might get the song 10 days before they're looking to shoot it. So the pace is definitely a little bit urgent. Also, you have to fit into the vision of the artist and what they had for the song already in their mind when they wrote it or when they recorded it. So it's good. It's a great collaboration, and I love it. But it's in terms of doing documentaries, you're more in control of the narrative and the story that you want to tell. So it's just a different approach. But I'm grateful. Like I had a good time doing music videos. I don't do them as much anymore, but I had a nice run. I was able to learn a lot and get some videos out there that kind of even one video that I did, which Don Omar, which was Reggaeton Latino, was almost like a little bit of a documentary style video, and that was something that we applied into our documentary films, kind of that approach.
Another area that's it kind of steered you away from what you're doing now, but got your career started, is you were working directing a Disney show, Bunked, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, that's actually more recent. That's the stuff that I'm working on, in addition to like the documentary films. So yeah, I started directing sitcoms in Hollywood, and so far it's been with Disney, and it's been good. But I'm looking to definitely expand and do more of that. That's something I want to focus
How have you enjoyed that experience? We're talking Don Omar, John Leguizamo, Raul Julia, and Disney.
on. It's good. It's all connected. It's all storytelling. And even if you look at sitcoms, like the multicam format, like the sitcom style that you hear, like with the laugh track, that was actually created by a Latino, Desi Arnaz. So to me, it's like we've had our impact all throughout history and entertainment. So I just feel like, yeah, this is all related.
You are correct. I had forgotten about that. That's right. Desi Arnaz Jr., he did quite a bit early on when he did his show that many of us seem to forget. And I think that's what's so wonderful about this documentary that you did on Raul Julia is reminding folks about the impact that Latinos continue to have in this industry. I'm curious, as a Latino, do you feel a certain level of responsibility to make change in Hollywood, to create more roles for Latinos, to portray them in a different way than they have been?
Yes, and it's not so much like a sense of responsibility. It's just part of my mission. Like it's something that I put at the forefront of what I'm trying to do with my career. And I just want to do great work, but at the same time, I'm trying to open the doors behind me and for other people to join me. So a lot of my people that work on my staff, from like, the production assistant, the interns, all the way up to, the cinematographers, we try to hire as many people of Latino or multicultural backgrounds, just to kind of like spread the love and be part of the solution.
You've played so many different roles. An actor, you worked on Broadway, filmmaker, producer. Do you enjoy one more than the other?
Oh, that's a good question. Do I enjoy one more than the other? I would say directing is probably like my biggest love, because it's something that is kind of it's a collaboration, but at the same time, you're able to put your impact on it in a way that's bigger. Because when you're working like as a producer on a Broadway show, you're not the only producer, and there's a lot of moving parts, and it's a big endeavor. So you can impact it, but not in the same way as directing. So I would say directing and producing is my first love, but I definitely want to get more into exploring the theatrical side. Like I would like to do movie musicals one day. So I think the Broadway stuff will help me get there one day.
You've talked about all these different projects. I found during the quarantine, everyone everyone had a different experience during the quarantine. I found my creative juices were flowing. I'm not even sure. Maybe I finally had time. I wasn't inundated and I wasn't multitasking. Did you find that that happened as well? That you just came up with more ideas, or were you more relaxed during that period that all of us were forced to stay at home?
I went through like different levels of it, to be honest. Like I look back at it, like when Tom Hanks got got the corona, that was when everything shifted, like in the NBA being canceled. So at first I was just reacting and trying to like get my business to a place where I could do it from home and my staff could work from home. So it was kind of like packing up mode. And then once the dust settled a little bit, yeah, I found that I was creative and I was able to get some other projects developed. And yeah, it's been good. I'm doing more Zoom meetings than ever in my life. I feel like I'm working more, but it's good. I feel like we found our rhythm.
Were there particular ideas that you wouldn't have thought of otherwise, do you think, had you not had that time to reflect? Are there certain things that you just can't wait to get started, but maybe can't yet because we're still in the middle of the pandemic? Let's call it what it is. It hasn't gone away as of yet. Are there actors that you want to work with? Like you've shared with us that there are all these different things that you still want to do. And it's so lovely to see the enthusiasm that I can hear in your voice and in your eyes and as you're sharing with me. So, what are some of those individuals perhaps that you'd love to work with, or those outlets that you have yet to open up?
Yeah, well, to your first point, which is like, it did allow me to focus on a couple of projects that I hadn't had the time to focus on. So in that respect, I'm thinking three of the shows that we were kind of like, oh, this is something we want to work on, but we don't have the time. We put them on the front burner. And in terms of individuals I want to work with, I would love to work with people like Eva Longoria, America Ferrera, people that I know kind of socially but haven't collaborated with yet. I got a good friend, Diane Guerrero. I would love to do a project with her. Dasha Polanco, Benicio del Toro. So there's some names out there that I'm like, even doing the film, having the chance to meet and interact and connect with all these people has opened up like this whole roster of people that I can't wait to collaborate with on something.
Would you say, and it seems like you would, to some degree, the pandemic opened up some doors?
Yeah, I mean, it closed some doors too. It closed a few, but yeah, it opened up doors. Like we had a bunch of film festivals that we had lined up, and we were going to do a 4-month run of an off-Broadway show that we were producing. So those things closed, but yeah, you find other outlets and other routes. So we're making the best of it. I feel good with where we're at.
Did you have an experience similar to what I did? Is I found myself more daring during the pandemic, like mid-pandemic. I reached out to folks and I thought, they're home. Like it was easier for me. I remember thinking that a few times. I thought, you know what? They're probably home not doing anything. I may be able to get past certain obstacles or meetings And with some individuals, I would think, am I connected with them on social media? And in many instances, I reached out to them and I would get a response in 5 minutes. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like again, I say this with the utmost of respect because obviously what's happened is tragic. And, I mean, I certainly want us to get to a safe place. But looking at it from a lighthearted place, I found a little amusing, and it was getting me more excited that I could reach out to people in a much easier fashion because people were at home just like I was, and I would get a response in 5 minutes as opposed to 3 weeks. Did you
Yeah,
have that experience?
a little bit of that, a little bit of that for sure. Yeah, people are more accessible, so it's been good. You gotta adapt. Can't just kind of sit back and wait for it to blow over. I don't know. You need to keep moving.
You're still this young man. So I'm going to say, as you look forward, as you look to the future, what's the legacy that you want to leave behind? Because it seems like there's already a theme there.
Yeah, well, that's interesting. I'm not sure if I look at it like a legacy right now. I'm just looking for like the next project, do my very best on it, open up some doors for myself and my crew, and just keep focusing on telling great stories the best way possible. But I don't know. I feel like I'm in like the second inning of a game, so it's hard for me to think about legacy too much. It's more like what's happening now and what can I do.
Being
But
in the present moment.
it's good. Absorbing it, enjoying it, and pushing forward.
Ben, thank you so much for being in this present moment with me. I certainly appreciate it. I'm so glad to see that you're doing well. I hope that your family is remaining safe. And I know you mentioned that you're in Florida. And for our viewers, they might find it interesting. So you were born and raised in New Jersey, have lived in New York. Obviously, your work has taken you to different parts of the country, including California, now in Florida. I'm curious, do you have a favorite?
I love being on the beach for sure. Like Florida is great for the beach and for that lifestyle, but I mean, I love New York forever, and LA's, I got to be there too. So it's kind of like just more flights. But yeah, I love the beach life for sure. That's in me. I'm Caribbean, so
I'm
that's
seeing
hard
a
to.
little bit of a tan, so I get the feeling you may have stepped out a few times so far.
Little something, something. Yes, in between my Zoom calls.
Well, Ben, thank you so much for allowing us to join you this particular afternoon. I certainly appreciate it. Congratulations on the nomination. Congratulations on your work and just continued success.
Thank you so much, Mabel.